start recording before she starts to share her screen. So thank you so much for volunteering to give our briefing on this, at least for me in Maryland, a very gloomy Monday morning.
Yep. Okay, I guess I'll share my screen now. All right. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got it.
Awesome. Just want to make sure. So hello, everybody. It's great to be quote unquote back at Penn State if we were doing this in person. I've always wanted to do one of these briefings since my undergrad. I'm at Penn State, but now I do work at Accuweather in town, and I do live locally as well. So if any of you ever need anything, just give me a holler. So I guess I'll get right into the briefing here. So climatologically for today, the average high is about 43 degrees with an average low of 30. And the Accuweather forecast today is a high of 52. So about 10 degrees above average today as we have a storm system encroaching on our area with a low of 36 tonight. So still above average tonight as well. And then looking farther into the future climatologically, a week from today, average high of around 42 with an average low of 28. So overnight lows will be decreasing as we get more into December, with as well as we go to like the end of December, we only have an average high of 35 with an average low of 21. So for those of you who have oil heat here in Pennsylvania, definitely make sure your oil tanks are filled, especially come the end of this month and into the winter months. I also wanted to mention some past records here for today. There was a record high set back in 1927 of 66 degrees. Definitely won't hit that today, but I guess we are within 15 degrees of it. A record minimum that was recorded in 1928 of 1 degree. And there was also 4 inches of snow here on this day in 1944, and then a snow depth of 5 inches. So there's 5 inches of snow on the ground in 1929. I wish I could say that we're gonna get some snow, but I mean, that much snow, because that would be very exciting. Snow is definitely my passion. So I did include some more snowfall statistics here. So far this month, locally, we've only received about a trace of snowfall. Normally, throughout the month of November, we could see 2.3 inches, and then the average snowfall for December is 7.8 inches. So hopefully if things go normal, we can definitely see some snow in the coming month. Also some current weather conditions. Here's the current surface analysis map. We can see a storm to our south, west, approaching up the spine of the Appalachians. There's actually a bunch of lows here, so we can see this intensifying system continue to push into Pennsylvania and into the eastern Great Lakes region today and into tomorrow, with an extension of a cold front as well, bringing pretty cold temperatures to places like Alabama, Mississippi, and much of the South here. Some of the coldest temperatures they've seen this season. So I think I have some hyperlinks here. They're coming up on my other screen. Okay, here we go. So looking at radar currently, on the backside of this system, we can see snow, rain changing over to snow, especially in areas like Cincinnati and Columbus soon in Ohio, and some lake effect streams as well off of Lake Michigan there. So definitely some wintry precipitation back west. Back east though, we have some warm advection out ahead of this system, as well as some heavier showers this morning, kind of tapering off now as a dry slot kind of forms across West Virginia and southern Pennsylvania there. But really heavy rain out ahead of this, like in New Jersey, also up into Binghamton, New York. So something to look at there. We can also see here some of the precipitation totals so far across the state of Pennsylvania. Looks like we have upwards of almost an inch down in southeastern Pennsylvania, and an inch down just south of Harrisburg, with some heavier totals as you are in this corridor here. Looks like maybe 2 inches. I don't know if I would trust this ob particularly because all the obs around it do read less than an inch, but there are some inch reports here down in Virginia as well. So yeah, that's kind of the rain situation, at least over the past 6 hours. And then let's see. So a big question is, we did have a really dry summer here across Pennsylvania, and including into the fall as well. So a big question is will this rain be largely beneficial? To answer your question, if you were so inquisitive, it will be largely beneficial. As of November 25th here for the drought monitor, still some severe drought through the northern counties or the north central counties of Pennsylvania, and widespread moderate drought as well, and just abnormally dry here in Center County. I live in eastern Center County in Millheim, so definitely over the summer my grass was very crunchy. So now it's not so much, but definitely going to be largely beneficial this rainfall. Also taking a look at satellite here. Oh, not edit, my goodness, sorry. We can see this storm system, comma shape, kind of classic northern hemisphere cyclone here. So cold air wrapping out behind the system, and then a warm, moist, relatively warm, moist flow out ahead of the system. We can also see some clouds forming and some moisture pushing into the Pacific Northwest as well. There's definitely will be some mountain snow in the Cascades that could lead to slippery conditions, especially at the pass level. So Snoqualmie Pass and all those other mountain passes in the Washington Cascades. And then this system will push through into Idaho and the Northern Rockies as well, bringing some snow to those areas. So good for the ski areas out there. But I wish I could be out there, to be honest, but here we are. And another big thing in the weather news today is that today's the official end of the record-breaking Atlantic hurricane season. But looking at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook here that the National Hurricane Center has, there is a 40% chance here just near the Azores, as well as going into nearing Portugal. So that's an area to watch. It's not it would be classified as non-tropical just because it wouldn't have really any tropical characteristics, but it does have the potential to develop and become, I do believe this is 90L. So we should watch this area for possible development. And here at Accuweather, we are also monitoring an area of thunderstorms and activity around Costa Rica and Panama as well for potential development. If no development occurs, could still bring some heavy rainfall to these areas, and probably not beneficial just because these areas have been hit by 2 really severe hurricanes over the past month here. So yeah, that's definitely an area to watch out for as well. I do have a graphic here kind of highlighting the Atlantic hurricane season with 30 named storms, 13 of them being hurricanes, 6 being major hurricanes, 12 landfalling in the US, and 5 landfalls in Louisiana. So definitely one for the record books across the Atlantic basin. So I guess I can get into the nitty gritty forecasting here. I'm going to take a look at the storm that's currently happening right now in the east, and then and kind of take a look at what's to come after today and into Tuesday night. There will be some lake effect snow showers that'll be present. So let's get into it. Let me see here. Okay. So I guess we could take a broad synoptic view here. We can see a very meridional jet stream here with lots of ridges and troughs, very active. So as I said earlier, we have cold air dipping down into the Great Lakes area that'll be conducive for lake effect snow throughout today, as well as into tomorrow. And then we also have a trough here in the west, Pacific Northwest, that's bringing precipitation currently to those areas. And then a pretty large ridge building in the plains, or I should say like in Wyoming and into the Dakotas as well. So something to look at there. And as we move into Tuesday, we can see that the storm back east, or the trough, continues to produce really strong jet winds. We can see a max forming right here. And then we also have this jet trying to push through farther east, and then that ridge continue to build into the plains, and then that trough in the that's currently impacting the Pacific Northwest, going through and hitting the Intermountain West, and so on. And then as we move into Wednesday, again, that trough is still sticking around here in the northeast, but the main system will regress into the colder air, that it will end up weakening and also heading up into Canada. So by Wednesday, most precipitation should move out of at least Pennsylvania, and then we see this trough again digging farther east and south. And this is kind of will produce cooler conditions across like Kansas and Nebraska. So it'll be a closed low. And I think if I remember correctly, the 550 line will be present thickness wise. So definitely a cooler pocket of air that'll drop down. And then taking a look here at the 500 millibar of vorticity heights, we can see that really intense vorticity lobe, again, moving through the northeast, providing great dynamics for some really gusty winds across the area, across Pennsylvania and much of the northeast today and into tonight, and also into tomorrow. And there's also I do believe SPC has a marginal risk out, or I'm sorry, slight risk out for from areas from Philadelphia all the way down to Wilmington, North Carolina. So definitely some instability, some thunder will be heard, probably in Philadelphia and maybe even in Baltimore. Main threat here, though, is very high winds. I think our Accuweather local storm max is around 80. 80 might be too overdone, but it's definitely something to watch out for if you do live in those areas. So as this vorticity lobe continues to track to the east and kind of just spin around more or less Wednesday and into Thursday, it finally boots out of here and gets into Canada. And then we also have this next, I guess, system to worry about. It looks like a nice lobe coming through here, closed off. So possibly for our next round of precipitation will be Friday into Saturday, but I'll get into that once we do the extended forecast towards the end of the presentation here. Again, looking at the 700 millibar heights and relative humidity, we can, and also the winds, a nice southerly flow across much of the Northeast. So that's providing the needed moisture for the showers happening. But as we can see, a dry slot kind of develops once that, sorry, excuse me, once that line of precipitation comes through across the eastern seaboard from North Carolina to Philadelphia, and then moisture hangs back there in Ohio and western PA as well. So again, the flow will be southerly, so it might take a little bit for the cold air to actually infiltrate and then possibly change and give us some snow showers here in central Pennsylvania, but that might not happen until tomorrow. So again, something to watch out for, and we can see behind the system, northerly to northwesterly winds at 700 millibars are forming. So conducive for lake effect, favorable wind direction. Areas in like northwestern Pennsylvania, just outside of Erie in the higher ground, are likely to see the most snowfall out of this system, as well as northeastern Ohio. And then as we head into like Tuesday evening, there's also the chance for the higher ground outside of Buffalo, the ski country, as well as the Tug Hill, to really see some good lake effect. Not a huge lake effect event for these guys though, but just enough to give them some fresh snow on the ground. And then if we're talking about lake effect, we might as well just talk about 850 millibar temperatures, right? Because the rule of thumb is 13 degrees Celsius, the difference between the lake temperature and the temperature at 850 millibars. I checked earlier, and it looks like both lakes, Lake Michigan and Lake Erie, I am highlighting Lake Erie here, they're at about 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about 8 to 9 degrees Celsius. And then if we were to look, let's say at Tuesday evening here at around 7 p.m., we can take a look at Lake Erie here, and don't forget, so 7 degrees Celsius is the lake temp, 850 millibars here, going to the red line, and then coming down here on the skew T. So about -9, -10 degrees Celsius. So we're at about an 18 to a 17 degree difference between the 850 millibar temperatures and the surface water temperatures. So definitely conducive for lake effect. So yeah, on top of getting snow today in Ohio and in northwestern Pennsylvania, the lake effect machine will enhance those snow showers and bring higher totals to those areas. And then again, just looking at the 925 millibar height, it's wet. There's low level moisture. It's raining kind of right now. I think it's kind of just showering, drizzling right now. Very dreary out today. So plenty of moisture to work with this system. And yeah, that's really all she wrote there. And this is the surface analysis, blue being the snow side, and then the green being the rain side. The low pretty much tracks right through central Pennsylvania, so that again is a good indicator of that dry slot that'll form over us and might decrease our winds, because if the low track center or the low center tracks over central PA, that'll definitely have a damping effect on how high the winds will get here in central PA. But I wouldn't be surprised if the low does end up tracking either more to our east or to our west. We could see higher wind gusts here locally. And also, speaking of wind gusts, we can see the pressure gradient off the eastern shore there, from Delaware all the way up to New York. It'll definitely be really gusty in those areas, as well as on the backside of this as well through Ohio. Though that tight packing of isobars really is indicative of those high winds. So yeah, and we can see as the low continues to regress into the colder air, and even though it will intensify, it's in the ending stages of its life due to the infamous Norwegian cyclone model. So, and those northwesterly winds will kick in, bringing some lake enhanced snow showers as well. As well as the winds, I want to take a look here. I am looking mainly at the GFS just because of time sensitivity. I can bring up the Euro to see where it does take the low track, but just in one moment here. So looking at Monday, winds again along the eastern shore, really gusty, especially into Cape Cod and the islands as well. Into tonight, I saw some weather stuff on Twitter, maybe bringing gusts upwards to 60 to 70 miles per hour in these areas. So as well as heavy rain. So definitely reduced visibility for motorists and all those kinds of things. And then breezy on the backside of the storm in the colder segment of it. So, but not as windy as the warmer side of the system. So I guess we can look at the Euro and see where it kind of takes the storm track. Oh. We'll look at the 0Z here. The 6Z can't be trusted. At least that's what I've learned in my time at Accuweather. Yeah, so the Euro takes a very similar track. Looked like the GFS kind of has the low more centered over the mountains of or the Laurels, the Ridge and Valley, so on. So, but very similar tracks. The storm probably weakened slightly just because it did track over the Appalachians and maybe just to the east of them. So the higher terrain kind of had might have had a detensification effect on this as well. So yeah, so that's the weather situation for the immediate future. And I guess we can take a look here to see what the GFS holds for us. I did mention that vorticity area of higher vorticity that could impede on Pennsylvania Thursday and Friday. But it looks like the GFS kind of just dissolves it and kind of takes the energy from this. Oh, sorry. That's the Euro. There we go. It looks like the energy from that low and the energy from this low don't like they kind of combined just because there looks to be a cold front that extends down these ways with these extensions of low pressure and the isobars. But it doesn't look terribly moist or terribly, it's cold. So maybe we could see some snow showers here locally. Looks like a northwesterly wind shows up. So maybe some lake enhanced snow showers. It looks like the Tug Hill and some of upstate New York could see some pretty persistent snow. But then as that front kind of forms, it kind of makes a low pressure here off the coast of North Carolina and brings showers offshore. So yeah, I guess that's, it looks like a dry period is what I'm trying to get at. Dry and chilly for the next few days here across central Pennsylvania and across much of the Northeast. I do have some graphics here. I do at Accuweather produce a lot of our graphics nowadays. So I did do this one about a week ago, kind of highlighting where snow, rain to snow, and the gusty T-storms would kind of set up with this system. This is through Monday night. Again, we can see that cold blast coming in from the the Midwest, and windy and mild conditions out ahead of this storm with the warm advection. Taking also a look at the winds through Monday night tonight, we have the gustiest winds towards the coast, and then we also have breezy to gusty conditions elsewhere. This hole here kind of to highlight where the low track is and where that lack of high winds will be. Also to look at Tuesday here, we have snow developing in western Pennsylvania and in West Virginia as well, and snow showers here locally as well, and a rain to snow area kind of around where the low tracks. Again, very windy out ahead of this and windy on the backside as well. And then here is our Accuweather snowfall map with that stripe of 12 to 18 here across just outside of Erie in the high ground, as well as in the high ground around just south of Buffalo, as well as in like Akron, Ohio. And so there's going to be a little bit of a gradient right near the lake shore, since the lakes are relatively warm compared to this air. But I will say that there's still going to be a lot of snow. So maybe we'll have to do a road trip, we as in me, to go see all of this snow up in northwestern Pennsylvania. But yeah, it's quite remarkable of a system. And as I did mention, the lake effect snow Tuesday evening through Wednesday evening, with the heaviest snow expected again in that stripe of where that I think it was 12 to 18 is. So yeah, and then the Tug Hill here getting into it too as the winds turn more westerly off of Lake Ontario. So definitely conducive for them to get some pretty decent lake effect snow squalls. So I guess my overall forecast here is a soggy day across central Pennsylvania with increasingly windy conditions. Depending on where that low tracks, though, will depend on how gusty we actually get. So I guess I'm taking the worst case scenario here is where we would get the windy conditions. So the winds would be from the southeast turning southwest. And then at 15 to 25 miles per hour with potential gusts of 35 to 45. And then temperatures are about 10 degrees above average today. But then looking into tomorrow, much colder with highs only in the mid 30s. So definitely a swing of temperatures from today to tomorrow with a couple snow showers and as well as with gusty winds. And the winds will be from the southwest originally in the morning, and then they will turn to the west as we head into the afternoon hours. Wednesday, dry and cool with highs in the mid 30s. So those mid 30s are continuing, and then highs in the 40s expected to end the week and into the weekend. A chance for snow showers Friday night into Saturday morning as we were looking at that weak system that looks to be coming through around that time. I think that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing. But yeah, any questions anybody has or anything like that?
You can use the chat function or the Q&A function if you have any questions for her.
Tough crowd today.
The Monday after a week-long break, it's okay.
Yeah, I get that.
At least for us.
Well, I guess if no one has anything, I guess we'll give it a few more moments here.
All right, well, if no one has any questions for Nicole, we can go about the rest of our Monday. Thank you so much for volunteering to give the briefing this week. And I hope to see everyone next week for our last briefing of the semester and my last briefing as president of Campus Weather Service. It will be given by Rich Grum, who is a retired SUE of the National Weather Service here in State College. So I hope to see everybody next week and have a good rest of your Monday.
You too.
Long,
Thank
everybody.
you.